feeling good, everything's alright. I got my head high, and I'm shining all bright like a light. Walking down the street, people looking at me, and I don't really care.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Closet of Truth.
Yeah, I said I'm living rent free.
Yeah,
I said I'm living rent free. Yeah, and I don't care what they say, cause I'm living rent free. La la la, can't nobody bring me down.
Welcome to the Closet of Truth.
La la la, living life how I wanna. La la la, can't nobody tell me I can't. I got my crew with me, we're unstoppable. Making moves and achieving the impossible.
That's right.
Haters wanna hate, but we don't listen. We gonna keep doing what we do and keep winning. Life's too short to be living in fear. Gotta take chances and persevere. Don't let nobody hold you back. Keep pushing forward. Stay on track. Don't make me have to play it back. I'm living rent free in your mind.
Good afternoon.
Don't waste your time. You think you can evict me? No, I'm taking up space. Cause guess what? I'm starting. Everything's alright. I got my head high and I'm shining all bright like a light. Walking down the street, people looking at me.
Welcome back to the Closet of Truth.
Cause I'm living rent free. Yeah, I said I'm living rent free. And I don't care what they say, cause I'm living rent free. La la la, rent free in your mind. La la la, never confined. La la la, it's about time. La la la, the tenant you can't decline. I'm the voice that you can't ignore. I'm the thought that you can't ignore. Leave your mind and set you free. I'm the rent free tenant. Now can you see? I'm the memory that you can't erase. I'm the image that you can't ever replace. I'm the feeling that you can't resist. I'm the rent free tenant that you can't dismiss. Now can I get a witness? I'm living rent free in your mind. I'm living large, never mind. Thinking all about me all the time. I'm a tenant, living rent free in your mind. Feeling good, everything's alright. I got my head high and I'm shining all bright like a light. Walking down the street, people looking at me, and I don't really care what they say, cause I'm living rent free.
This is one of the topics I didn't get to this morning.
Yeah, I said I'm living rent free. Yeah, and I don't care what they say, cause I'm living rent free.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I don't care. Welcome back to the Closet of Truth. All right. Yes, the song is called Rent Free because I know, like you know, I am living rent free in a lot of the minds of the Trump supporters, and it's perfectly fine, all right? I am more than qualified to do this. Like I've said to you before, I am definitely the chosen one, okay? Many are called, but only a few are chosen, all right? Now, I didn't really get to go into my political talking points today because we had to tend to other more pressing matters. But this one right here, this situation with Clarence Thomas's wife is one of utmost concern. And I want to make sure, greetings, Spencer, nice to see you. And I want to make sure we all put this out here so we all know what's going on out here in the world of politics. I am so shocked that my friends on the right haven't been asking or wanted to have any congressional hearings about the conduct of Clarence Thomas's wife, who we all know has ties to January 6th. Don't boo me. Don't boo me. Would you rather me lie? Would you rather me lie to you about this? This is very alarming. You know, we're on the, all 19, co-defendants in the RICO case out there, in Georgia. They all entered not guilty, including Mark Meadows. And we see Mark Meadows, he's trying his hardest to avoid dealing with Phony Willis in that courtroom. He's trying, right? And they all said they're not guilty. But I find it hard to believe. So why did I bring this up? Because there's a lot of talk going on about what can we do to hold the Supreme Court accountable. All right. We know, for instance, Clarence Thomas, he's totally compromised. He's taken millions and millions of dollars. All right. From Harlan Crow, this mega wealthy, rich individual. OK, so we know that if you got enough money, you can buy a Supreme Court justice. Right. We all know that. Right. And it's quite sad. What a shame. they said they're not guilty, but we know MAGA is definitely guilty. And listen, before I get into this story, I got to tell you, Trump supporters, all right? This is Zeus. This is Mr. Crossing. I am back in business, all right? It's going to be very uncomfortable for you because this information on Ginni Thomas is going to rock you to the core, all right? And it's going to challenge everything you believe in, but it's real. Virginia Thomas, or as some like to call her, Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, told the United States House Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 riots that she was hopeful that, quote, state legislators could identify fraud in the 2020 presidential election and thereby allow the election to be overturned in favor of Donald Trump. Right, this is what she was saying. Hold on. I got to get my headset in because I know my audio is not the best. I don't know if it's my phone. Can you hear me out there, ladies and gentlemen? Can you hear me? No, I can't battle. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear Zeus right now? All right. Let me make sure. Can you still hear me? All right, great. Thank you. That's why she said she sent a text message to those close to Donald Trump, urging them not to concede the election and to fully embrace the former president's claims of fraud despite having any evidence. Now, however, she regrets sending all of those texts. This is what she did. The committee earlier, this is what happened on the January 6th committee. This is Ginni Thomas. They obtained 29 text messages between Ginni Thomas and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows. Corrupt. He's corrupt. So you got the wife of the Supreme Court sending 29 text messages to somebody who's already been indicted on RICO charges? You can't tell me there's no crimes. You can't tell me she's innocent. You can't do it. Listen, Jim Jordan, James Comer, please open an investigation into this because this is very concerning. In the messages, which were reported, ladies and gentlemen, she beseeched Mark Meadows to do what he could to keep Donald Trump in power, despite the fact that President Biden won. She is definitely involved with what Mark Meadows is being charged with. It's a direct link. 3 days after the election, for instance, Thomas wrote, and she wrote this quote, "Do not concede. It takes time for the army who is gathering for his back." What? End quote. What? Do not concede. It takes time for the army? I don't know about you, but I definitely think this kind of communication going on behind the scenes definitely warrants an investigation on all fronts. It warrants an investigation in Congress. It warrants an investigation by the DOJ. Listen, DOJ. Listen up, Merrick Garland. Are you there? Merrick Garland, listen up. Zeus has a polite little request for you, Merrick Garland. Can you do us all a favor? Could you please look into Ginni Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas, and please help the American people understand what her involvement was with the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, as well as what happened in the beautiful state of Georgia. All right, can't you do that for us? Could you do that, please, Merrick Garland, please? And if you gotta give it to an independent special counsel, you know what? We're in the season of we can have as many special counsels as we want. We definitely think this definitely requires a special counsel appointment because 29 text messages. I know that wasn't about no tea. That wasn't about tea and crumpets. Absolutely not. She's talking about do not concede, and she's talking about having an army. All right. Of her text messages with Meadows, Thomas said, now she regrets
the tone and the content, saying it was an emotional time. And I was texting with a friend who I had known a long time. So I really didn't find my language imprudent and my choices of sending the context of these emails unfortunate. So now she's been caught with her hands in the cookie jar. Yeah, she's been caught with her hands in the cookie jar. She's had a moment to reflect on the gravity of what's going on, and now she regrets sending the text messages. Of course, it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. It didn't stop there. Okay, listen. Um, Thomas was also found to have written emails to at least 29 lawmakers. I mean, what is up with her and this number 29? 29 text messages to Mark Meadow and 29 emails to lawmakers? Wow. You know, Trump always talks about Hillary's emails. Let's find Ginni's emails, all right? We need those emails to become public record if they already aren't, so we can all see what exactly was so important on January 6th. I just don't understand what was so important. And these emails, ladies and gentlemen, they went to the beautiful state of Arizona, pressing them to, quote, set aside Joe Biden's popular vote victory and to choose the presidential electors. What a shame. This is what she wanted to do. I can't believe it. You know, I don't know if she will, but you know, there's 30 unindicted co-conspirators in Fonnie Willis's RICO investigation. I wouldn't be surprised if she's one of them, along with some members of Congress, because this right here, this is what you call the real election interference, right? You know these Trump supporters, they keep trying to say President Biden is committing election interference. No, I've never read one text message, one email, one headline that said President Biden did any of these kind of things. All right. So this is not this is not her basically being found to have, been a part of the RICO investigation. But what this live is about is making sure we highlight and amplify what Ginni Thomas did on or around January 6th so that we can get a little more accountability. All right. I mean, quiet as it is kept, many of you know, hello, Nancy. Many of you know I have no problem covering content that talks about those folks who actually participated in the insurrection on January 6th. That's one of my favorite things to do. But part of me, I have a bit of a heart for those people because I know for sure that they would not have done those things on January 6th if they weren't encouraged to do it by folks from the president's office on down. The president's office is definitely, in my opinion, one of the highest, most powerful positions a person living on this planet could ever get into. They could ever, that's the highest point you could ascend to outside of becoming, a god, right? Being the president of the United States. All right. No, Belinda, cut it out. Cut it out. So I believe Donald Trump abused his presidential powers by getting these folks worked up to show up on the Capitol on January 6th. That's why I played this.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy.
Right.
And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol.
This is what he said.
And we're going to cheer on
this is what he said.
Our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them.
Right.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, right. And you have to be strong.
Right. Good morning, good afternoon, April. Nice to see you. So, and I don't know if you could listen to that clip the way that I can. I have special hearing powers, right? I think in the background, you could hear while Trump was saying those words, you could hear them going, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. So this was definitely something Trump was aware of, and he could have been there, just like you all do on TikTok when people are acting up on TikTok. You could shut it down and say, hey, stop it, right? Why didn't Trump, when he heard those folks yelling, hang Mike Pence, why didn't he say, hey, that's my vice president? Don't say that about him. You ever thought about that, Trump supporters? Why didn't he say that? It would have been the right thing to do. That would have been real presidential. He's in the most powerful position a man or woman could ascend to in the United States, and he could have quieted that anger and said, "Listen, he could have said, we're going to peacefully challenge these election results, and if Biden beat me, I'm no longer your president, and I will engage in the peaceful transfer of power, just like Barack Hussein Obama did for me." He could have done that. But instead, he didn't do it because you all know, just like I know, he wanted to see the violence on January 6th, and I know that, and so that's why I have a special understanding about these folks that are in jail out there in Washington D.C. They believe Donald Trump. I understand that it doesn't excuse them, but they believed him. But if they gotta go to jail, if those folks gotta go to jail, and these are folks that is regular Americans, if they gotta go to jail, you better believe Donald Trump on down needs to get held accountable and do the time. And that includes Miss Ginni Thomas. I mean, 29 text messages to Mark Meadows, 29 emails to lawmakers. There's no other way to excuse this. You can't excuse this. Emails obtained by the committee also showed that Thomas was in contact with conservative attorney John Eastman. Wow. John Eastman, he's also in the RICO indictment, right? So, how many of you out there, hello, Diane, nice to see you. How many of you out there think Ginni Thomas is innocent at this point? When you see her in clear communication with folks who we all know have been indicted, how many of you out there still think Ginni Thomas is completely innocent? She just made a mistake that day. How many of you still think that? Guilty, yeah. That's what I mean, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, but I definitely think the American people deserve to know to what degree the wife of our Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, what was her involvement with what happened on January 6th with all of these other folks who've been indicted. The American people deserve to know. Oh, she's an angel. Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out. So she was in contact with John Eastman, a central figure in the RICO indictment, who wrote a detailed plan in an attempt to persuade the Vice President Mike Pence to overthrow the 2020 election results. Thank you, Allie. In a voluntary interview with the committee, Ginni Thomas said, quote, "There's a lot of people uncomfortable with the 2020 election despite what the committee is pushing. A remark that echoes the claims of the former president and his allies. Trump has claimed that for more than 2 years that the election was fraudulent and somehow stolen from him. And those claims have been investigated even by Trump's own Attorney General, Bill Barr, who has since called them BS. By the way, for the record, in this live, in this kingdom that I run, President Biden won the 2020 election fair and square. There was no widespread evidence of voter fraud in this live. Okay, you can go out into these other lives and believe whatever you want to believe, but in here, President Biden won the 2020 election. There was no widespread evidence of voter fraud at all. And if there was any fraud going on, it wouldn't have been enough to change the outcome of the election. All right, so that's settled. That's what we call settled law. Next, in this live, no Journey. Journey, absolutely not. I know what sarcasm is, but no, I'm not being sarcastic. I am being very serious about this. All right. Now, there's other times when I am sarcastic, but no, this is very serious. The other thing that's true in this live, when it comes to the events surrounding January 6th, right? Yeah. When it comes to that, there's only one person that we all know was the ringleader of the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, right? And if I were to ask you who was responsible for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th, The correct answer is Donald John Trump. Donald Trump is responsible for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. And the last question and the last thing in this live that is true, all right, and people, if they don't agree with me on this, I don't even let them in the box. I don't even talk to them. If they don't agree that these things are true, I don't even talk to them, right? Because you can't have a conversation with people when their frame of reference and their understanding isn't aligned with yours. All right, I could be wrong. But for the sake of what I do, those things are true. The last thing, ladies and gentlemen, that is true in this live, greetings, Greg, is that President Biden and Hillary Clinton are innocent of all crimes. They have not been charged with anything. There's no docket number on President Biden or Hillary Clinton. So you cannot continue to walk around in this kingdom and say that these two are criminals when they're clearly not. Greetings, Tommy. All right? Especially when we got paperwork in this country that shows Donald Trump is the criminal, all right? 91 felonies, 4 indictments on multiple fronts in D.C., state of Georgia, New York. By the way, he got 17 convictions for his business. And with that kind of thing going on, I have no time to deal with folks that are in disagreement about what's really happening in this world, all right? Now, let's get back to what Ginni Thomas is up to, all right? And this is why I'm doing this, because I want you all to understand she is communicating with folks who've been indicted. Ginni Thomas, the wife of the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, was in communication with folks who've been indicted, all right, out there in Georgia for election and conspiracy of election interference. As for specifics about the fraud that concerned her, Ginni Thomas said, I can't say that I was familiar at that time with any specific evidence. I was just hearing it from news reports, probably Fox News, and friends. She said news reports and friends. That means Fox and friends, perhaps. Grassroots activists who were inside various polling places that found things suspicious. So, in other words, she's talking about Rudy Giuliani, Fox News, and all of these fake news sources, okay, that she was aware would be pushing this. She's talking about friends, Donald J. Trump, and she wants Mark Meadows, John Eastman to help her break the law. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving Ginni Thomas her daily dose of shames and boos for her involvement with the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. Yeah. See, this is why I think it's very important that we have these kind of conversations out here, because for the most part, most American folks, they just listen to what their friends tell them. They just listen to what they hear on social media, and they accept it as true, right? But what we got to do out here is we got to bring down this heavy hammer of truth to make sure Donald Trump's lies are exposed for what they are. They're simply lies. So, ladies and gentlemen, I stand by it, and I'm going to make sure you all know that I stand by it. I firmly believe, I really do, that it is time to investigate Ginni Thomas, right? It is time. I think if we do, this might be the one chance we have to hold Clarence Thomas accountable. Okay, because he's totally compromised, by Harlan Crow, and we can't count on the Supreme Court to really do anything, right? We can't count on the Supreme Court to regulate itself, because that's not what they're into. So the best thing that we can do to help Clarence Thomas understand that we mean business, the best thing that we can do is let's go ahead and open up an investigation on his wife and her involvement on what happened on January 6th. Perhaps that might encourage him to do the right thing, ladies and gentlemen, and step down. Right? He needs to step down. Clarence, your time has came, your time has went. All right, you've done enough damage, and I know he's now trying to disclose. he discloses, all of the help he's been getting from these Republican mega donors now because he knows the American people are watching. He's disclosing it now. And each disclosure, as far as I'm concerned, is just another nail in the coffin, right? It's just another nail in the coffin. All right. Now let me open up these boxes and hear from those of you who are brave enough to get in the box and tell the truth. That is, if you want to. If not, I understand. I'll move on and we can end this show on a high note. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I got this story out about Ginni Thomas, ladies and gentlemen, because to me this is a matter of utmost importance. All right. If I had a friend out here and they were tied to folks that have been indicted, I would definitely be suspicious of that friend, right? I would. And that's how I think, that's what I think of Ginni Thomas. I just can't believe she's this close to all of those folks who've been indicted. Her text messages weren't like, how's the weather? How is your family? That's not what her text message or emails were about. They were directly about the very thing they were indicted about. And on those grounds alone, I really would like the government to, the legal way, right? This needs to be done legally. Okay, when I tell people to look into things legally, Jim Jordan, James Comer, do us all a favor since you got extra time to investigate Hunter Biden, right? You got extra time to investigate Hunter Biden, Jim Jordan and James Comer. Investigate Ginni Thomas. All right, Merrick Garland. I can't say Jack Smith. Jack Smith has his own assignment. Merrick Garland, if you can, go ahead and appoint that special counsel for Ginni Thomas. I want to know exactly what her involvement was. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie, welcome, Eddie. How are you doing? Welcome to the Closet of Truth.
How you doing, Zeus?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
Oh, I'm just great. The utter hypocrisy of the Republican Party,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly. What is your take on this? Rio, greetings.
Oh, I think she needs to be investigated, just like Hunter Biden. I mean, if they did something illegal, lock them up. I don't
Yeah,
care which party they're from.
yeah,
If they
yeah.
did something illegal, lock them up.
Lock them
Why
up.
not?
They've already investigated Hunter Biden, right?
They can keep investigating Hunter Biden until the sun don't shine. I don't care. They can
Yeah.
impeach him too.
You said they can impeach Hunter? Yeah, impeach Hunter. Right.
Impeach. I never voted for the man, but I will next election.
That is so hilarious. That is so
Yeah.
hilarious. What do you think about her being in communication with these folks who've been indicted? Does that scream
That
that
screams investigation. We
screams
know
invest?
she was in on the January 6th planning. We
Right.
know that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
is it? Yeah, let's get some special counsel on them. Clarence Thomas needs to be special counsel. The Supreme Court is not above
Nope.
reproach, other than what the current leader of the Supreme Court says. I can't
Mm,
remember his name. I'm terrible with
mm,
names, but he's trying to protect something that doesn't need to be protected. He needs to make it clean. They got to
yeah.
be truthful and honest. It's not supposed to be political either, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It isn't. But we find ourselves in this situation, right? Dionysius alone. We find ourselves in this situation, right?
Yes.
Do you sense that our friends, some of our conservative friends, are they in line with investigating Ginni Thomas and Clarence Thomas like you?
No, I don't think they're in line with investigating anybody on their side when it comes to GYM Jordan's committees there and his revenge tour that's not
Mm,
getting nothing done in the House.
mm,
I mean, what is the House doing having meetings in New York City during the Donald Trump's charges going on there? I mean, give me a
right,
break.
right. Yeah, this is what
Nothing
we're
came of
talking.
that, did it?
Nope, not at all. Not at all. My main concern is, all of these things are being portrayed, they're portraying this as though the DOJ is being weaponized, to go after these folks. What is your take on that? Do you think the DOJ is really being
No,
weapon? Oh, you
no,
don't
I
think
don't
it?
think I don't think Biden is doing anything to control the DOJ. He said
No.
he would be hands off, unlike Donald Trump. He doesn't have Merrick Garland in meetings with him every day, or sucking his anus. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
excuse my. I'm sorry, I
No.
did say it correctly.
Yeah.
Didn't
You
say
kept
it
it.
badly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the same. And if you can't see it, you're just either blind or you're a traitor.
Yeah. You call them traitors?
I call all J6 supporters traitors because they don't
Mm.
represent the United States, nor do they stand and defend the Constitution.
Mm.
They stand and defend one amendment and one amendment only, and it starts with the number 2.
Okay, let me ask this question while we're here. A lot of the J6ers, they really do believe that they were doing the right thing on January 6th. Do you,
Yeah, I don't.
do you feel any kind of sympathy for them, or are you one of these folks that says, you know what, I don't know how you could have believed that, and I don't care, but you need to go do the time,
That's true.
huh?
Yeah, we don't allow militias in this country anymore. They're illegal. You
Mm.
know, that's the National Guard now, so they can take their militias and their hate groups and go on down the road, kick rocks.
Yeah. Well, you know what I say. They're more than welcome to go to Russia. All right. We have a deal here.
Yeah,
We're willing to help get 7 MAGA to Vladimir Putin if they want to. All right. They just got to
yeah.
be willing to do it. Now, so you
Just like
don't think?
Donald Trump says.
What did he say?
Hey, just like Donald Trump says, if you don't like it, you can leave.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things that he says.
Yeah, yes, and that, and you know, Jack Smith's coming. Get your knee pads on, MAGAs.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, listen, my good friend
Uh-huh.
Eddie, it was nice checking in with you, all right? I got to bring up
Oh
some.
yeah,
All
you
right.
need to definitely bring up some more people. I know I didn't reach my bell, but I don't really care
Oh,
because I
there's
got
no
my
bell
message
in
out.
there's no bell
There,
in the closet of truth.
oh, there's no bell in the closet of truth. Okay.
No, there's
Well,
only a bell in the morning show.
I'd like to just state the immortal Zeus. Get your knee pads on, cause Jack Smith is coming.
Don't come on
All
out.
right,
Eddie,
Zeus,
yes, I love it. I
make it
really do.
happen.
All right, all right.
Don't let Snuggies on. He just
Yes.
sensed for Donald Trump. Don't let Snuggies on. He just sensed
Tell
for
him.
Donald Trump.
Tell
We
him.
don't want
Tell him.
that.
We
Don't want
don't
to hear
want
from
that.
him. Don't platform that man.
Don't platform. Tell him, Eddie.
Don't platform Snuggies, okay?
Listen, Eddie. Now you stay in Eddie's zone, all right? You
All
stay in
right,
Eddie's
you have a
zone.
great one, man. Have an
All
awesome
right.
day.
All right, you too. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up to my good friend Eddie. He's right though. He's totally right about what he said about me platforming Snuggles. He's totally right. But there's just one problem. He doesn't run this kingdom. All right, my good friend Eddie. I hope to hear from you again. All right.
Boom.
All right. All right. Now listen up, MAGA. I know it's hard for you to hear all of this truth in less than an hour. But that's why I tell you, you're more than welcome to leave if you're not comfortable with this content. All right. It's like your leader says.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As
Mm-hmm.
far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back.
You
It's
could.
okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
All right. So I want most people to understand that, that's how I do these. That's how I do these lives. I am a trained MAGA whisperer, and they know this. This is why they come to the lives and hear all of this truth. These Trump supporters, some of them, they're my friends. You heard my good friend Eddie talk about Snuggles. Snuggles, He knows he's wrong. He knows it. He knows it. Every day he listens to this live, he goes home and he cries in the mirror. I can't believe Zeus said that. I mean, but you know what? I'm going to continue to deliver this truth to Donald Trump and his supporters to make sure that no one else ever votes Republican again. Because the Republican Party currently is in shambles. It's going down in degradation, and I'm witnessing it. That's why they're all up in arms. They're in a frenzy. Oh my gosh. Zeus, are you afraid of a civil war? This is what they ask me. Aren't you afraid of a civil war? Are you talking about your pocketbook? Because I know you're not really talking about getting out here and running a mile. No, most of you are out of shape, and I'm just being honest. All right, let me bring up my good friend, Brother Greg. How are you doing, champ?
Oh, it is a beautiful day in the kingdom of Zeus. It is a
It is,
beautiful
sir.
day.
Yeah, we're tending to a lot of major issues, you know.
Yeah, major key, like DJ
Yeah.
Khaled says, major key.
Facts. Facts.
Yeah, Ginni
Right.
Thomas, she definitely had some sort of a planning for getting people to January 6th, and we knew this a long time ago. It wasn't like this isn't new news.
Right.
It's just one of those things where, like, you have to understand.
Love you.
This was an all hands on deck effort to try to get Donald Trump to be the next president, even though he lost. And it went, I believe it went as far up to the Supreme Court in terms of, Ginni Thomas being involved. And it's sad.
Wow.
It's sad because, they really sold their soul for this man, even though he did not win the last election. And there's no evidence to be seen. They keep talking about discovery. They keep talking about all this evidence is going to come out. There ain't no evidence. There was never evidence. They said there was no evidence.
None.
The judges that were Trump appointees literally said there's no evidence in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. They had nothing.
Wow.
And they kept going on television and saying that they did. And essentially what they did then was they went so far that they're losing their own law licenses. And you look at Jenna Ellis, you look at Rudy Giuliani. I mean, these folks really went the whole distance. They went the whole way to the point where they're now going to actually have a suspension of their law licenses.
Wow.
And I mean, that's what they did for Donald Trump. I mean, if you took it to that level, to the point where you sacrificed your own career, my Lord.
Let me ask you something, Greg. You brought up something. Do you think, because we know Ginni Thomas had communications with John Eastman and Mark Meadows, planning this January 6th stuff, right? Do you think Clarence Thomas may have been involved?
It's hard to really say that. I mean it's
that's
possible.
His wife.
Right. It's his wife, but he was
if you were married and your wife was communicating with these guys, wouldn't you know?
Yeah, I think that, like, if there is an investigation, we'll definitely find out that answer. For the sake of not, getting my account docked for misinformation, as much as I want to believe.
Well, in your opinion, okay, for educational purposes only, is it typical that a partner, a husband, for instance, like Clarence Thomas, would it be, which do you believe? Do you think he knew what she was doing, or he had no clue?
I mean, it's hard to say that he didn't. It's hard to say that he didn't know what she was doing after, but
Go for it. Go. I'm so sorry.
Was he one of the ones that voted when it came down to the election and hearing the case or something? I believe he was the lone vote on that, right? To when they were talking about the court case of hearing the Texas case or something like that. I'm pretty sure he was the only vote.
Oh, and what was the vote? I don't know the exact details.
I think it was like
But if
No, I
what
think it
you're
was
saying,
9-0, actually. I think it was 9-0. I think it was an actual 9-0 vote.
mm,
But so if that was the case, then he certainly didn't make it known because he voted against like hearing, he said they had no standing in the Texas versus Pennsylvania suit that was brought to the Supreme Court.
wow,
So
wow.
I think there
But
you can look
if
at
you had
that.
to roll the dice, if you had to roll the dice and say he knew or he didn't knew what his wife was doing, what would you say if you had to put money on it?
I mean, I would say he knew what his wife was doing.
Bingo, bingo. So, because you came in and you said this attempt to overthrow the government, we know the White House was involved,
Yeah.
and it looks to me like now you're saying perhaps the Supreme Court was also involved.
I mean, I'm sure that they wanted to do it, but then they realized like if they did it, it would be a horrible situation. Like it
But
would be like
but
that.
there's text messages and emails from his wife. That means they're involved, regardless of whether or not they were successful. They're now in this, and then you got
Yeah.
members of Congress, right?
Hmm. Members of
What?
Congress, members
Wow.
of the Senate. Um,
Wow.
Lindsey Graham went from saying he was done with Donald Trump to now crying on Hannity to support
Mm,
Donald Trump. I don't understand.
wow.
Donald Trump must have some real good stuff on that man. There must be some videos or something like that.
Mm.
Because some of these people, it's like, and this is the thing, real quick. This is the thing. Like, I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch Bill Maher on Joe Rogan by any chance? The
No,
interview?
no, no. I have not
Yeah.
watched it.
So it's a
Should.
really good interview.
Oh, really? I like Bill Maher, but sometimes he just has some things that are a
He,
little.
he he says some things sometimes that
He
get
used to be. He
left.
used to be more in line with my views, but somehow he's been compromised.
No, well, I think he really railed into Trump though on that interview with Joe Rogan, basically telling
Oh, then
Joe
I gotta
Rogan,
watch it.
yeah, telling Joe Rogan that like this man was clearly a narcissist when it came to pretty much everything, and the only reason why like when he came to like Vladimir Putin, if Putin says to him, hey, I like you, you're a good leader, of course Donald Trump's going to be like, oh, well, I like you too, because that's the type of person he is, and that's kind of what Bill Maher laid out. So I encourage everyone to watch
Joe
that
Rogan.
interview.
I'll watch it. I don't necessarily care too much for Joe Rogan, but I do like Bill Maher, and so for
Yeah,
the sake of your referral, I'll check it out.
absolutely. But
All
all
right.
right, man, I'll let you
All right.
go. Get back to your affairs here. I'm going to keep digging this stump out of the ground.
Okay, all right. Keep it
Whew.
going and keep up the great work.
Yep.
All right, my friend. All right, ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen, let's give it up to Brother Greg. Yeah. I don't see how Clarence Thomas had no clue what his wife was doing. I just can't see it. As far as I'm concerned, if he doesn't know what she's doing, then this means he's not a good husband. That's what that means. All right. And so now that you could kind of see that perhaps, the Supreme Court was involved with what Donald Trump was trying to do, it just shows you to what degree this thing is as serious as it is. People often ask me, they'd ask me, well, Zeus, don't you think 91 felonies is a lot? Don't you think that's a bit overkill? Right. I had somebody, kind of give me that angle. And I said, well, it depends on what you did. It depends on what you did. All right. If you tried to overthrow the United States government, then I do think I don't think 91 felonies is enough. And then all 91 don't belong to you trying to overthrow the government, right? But for the ones that actually count towards that, yeah, you held on to classified documents you had no business doing. And you did this after you tried to overthrow the government. What a shame. I don't know how they did it. I don't know. I just cannot believe it. All right, all right. Welcome, my good friend, Nutty Professor. How are you doing? Welcome to the Closet of Truth.
So ignorance of the law is no excuse of the law.
Right.
So the fact is, whether he knew or not, the fact that his wife colluded to overthrow the government, he must step down because of his position as a Supreme Court justice. He has been compromised. He has been compromised. The integrity of the court is absolutely gone.
Gone.
It's absolutely gone. He must step down. And so should Alito, and so should all three of the ones that Trump put on board. But we know that's not going to happen.
Right. They all
So,
should.
so ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Should she be
However,
investigated? Should she be investigated?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I mean, the fact that they are investigating Hunter Biden, who has proximity, that's the word, proximity to the president of the United States of America,
Right.
right? That's the only reason they're investigating Hunter Biden. But yet, this woman who is married, proximity again, right? To a
Proximity.
Supreme Court justice, we know Hunter's crimes was not against the United States of America. We know this for a fact.
Amen.
They were not against the United States of America, even though he did break the law, right?
Yeah. Right.
Her crimes were against all of us, the United States of America, because she tried to overthrow a duly justified election that was won by Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.
Preach.
So, with that being said, why isn't James Comer investigating her? Why is it Jim with a G Jordan? Why isn't he investigating her? Why is the House of Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Bobblehead Boebert, why aren't they saying anything about this woman who tried to overthrow our government? It's because they're all complicit in it.
They are.
So it's not about hating Clarence Thomas.
Nope.
It's not about hating Clarence Thomas at all. It's about, yet again, accountability. And the accountability is that this woman has proximity to a member of the highest court in our land. She sleeps with this man on a daily, well, we don't know if she sleeps with him, but she supposedly sleeps with this man on a nightly basis. You're not going to sit there and tell me that the accusations that are made against her are not enough for the House to investigate what is going or what transpired. And we have text messages.
Yeah.
So
29.
unlike MAGA, who Marjorie Taylor Greene saying that she's going to shut down the government if a impeachment inquiry is not held against the president, who has shown zero proof of anything that Joe Biden has done illegally, right?
Right.
But they want to hold an impeachment inquiry against him. But yet we have seen proof that this basket case of cotton balls tried to overthrow the government, but yet they're silent.
They're silent.
They don't care. So help me, Republicans. Please help me with this.
Yeah.
Where do we come to? This is why we don't want to kumbaya with you. This is why, because you're not honest. And if you were honest, you would be saying, you know what? We want everybody to be held accountable, including Joe Biden.
Facts.
If you were honest, you would be saying, "Oh wow, we gotta look into these text messages because they're disturbing." The reason why you're not saying that is because you agree with her tactics. Because they're showing you how much of a criminal they are.
You're right.
See, a criminal doesn't want to turn around and investigate a criminal.
You're right.
They want to gaslight us. That's why we're being gaslit. And I'm thankful that you're bringing this back to the forefront, because this needs to be on the forefront, because just like these people who are getting sentenced for Jan 6, her name needs to be on that docket.
Oh, it does.
We need to have a docket number, as Snuggles would say.
Yeah, you got a docket number for that?
We need
Yeah,
to have one for Ginni Thomas.
yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
all
because
I got.
you're spot on. Because what's keeping me up at night a little bit is this guy Clarence Thomas. I'm asking myself, what kind of operation is he running when his wife could get away with helping out with trying to overthrow the government while he's sitting at home collecting all this money from Harlan Crow? What is he doing? That man shouldn't have a gavel in his hand.
No, not at all. Not at all. And the
I
more we learn, the more
Yeah,
that we learn about these justices and how corrupt these justices are, it is no wonder the Supreme Court has its lowest rating in the history of the court.
yeah,
It is no wonder. You got
yeah,
Supreme Court justices getting extravagant vacations from billionaires, and then that same billionaire have cases that come in front of the Supreme Court, and
mm.
magically these billionaires, their cases get heard, and it's the
And they're
judgment is
favorable.
favorable.
Yeah,
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 they're favorable. You can't tell me that these justices aren't bought.
yeah.
So, Republicans in the House, I know none of you are listening, but just in case it gets back to you, you want to
Hmm.
keep using the term the weaponization of government. This
Hmm.
is the weaponization of government.
Right.
When we know, we have proof, we have evidence, we have it in black and white from the horse's mouth itself.
We do.
Doesn't she look like a stallion behind you? We have it from the horse's mouth herself through her text messages to Mark Meadows and others. She tried to overthrow the government. And just like these people who are being prosecuted for Jan 6, she
Yeah,
needs to be right next to them.
I agree.
She needs to get 18 of the 33 years that the prosecution is asking.
I agree. It's no. I'm not happy to hear Trump supporters go into prison. They're low level. It's these folks that got them in prison that I'm really focused on. How on earth can they go to jail and not them? These folks came up with the plan that
So
got them
that's
in jail.
so hopefully when the election happens next year,
Hmm.
we will have we will have we will have some members of the House of Representatives up for reelection
Hmm.
um, next year, and next year,
Hmm.
and then the 2 years after that, and 26.
Right.
We need to make certain that the
Hmm.
Democrats has the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, Zeus, I
I
don't
think.
really care about the presidency. I don't care
Oh.
about the presidency because the president doesn't really have power. It is the
Mm.
Congress who holds the power of the purse
Mm.
and who make the laws and who also says yay or nay to any nomination to the Supreme Court.
Got it. You're
So
right.
that's where the power is.
You're right.
That's where the power is.
Yeah.
We
You're.
need to make sure that never again falls in the hands of the Republican Party because with the Project 2025, we see what they're trying to do.
Mm. Exactly.
I'm going to let you go, brother. I appreciate you letting me up.
No problem, my good friend King Nutty. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give King Nutty a good round of applause. No lies detected. All right, it's like my grandmother always says: you got to tell the truth and shame the devil. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, this is accountability at its highest levels. All right, my good friend Dionysius, welcome. How are you doing, my good friend? How you doing, champ?
How's it going, brother?
I'm
So,
all
hey,
right.
it's a real adopted brother. This is like the only place I feel safe speaking my mind because I guess you know me and my history.
Yeah.
I've been fighting fascism like literally on the streets across
Mm,
the country for a while, and I learned that
right.
like violence wasn't working for me then. So like I try to go in and I talk to the people on the right, and it's like, uh, yeah, we've done all the talking we could. I guess we just got to let them suffer their own consequences of like being violent and making threats. Because
Yeah.
I think the federal government's gonna like empty the prisons of all those nonviolent people, and probably put violent people in them.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what I mean. They got to make money somehow, and these
Yeah.
people like to work, so you might as well. But I think it's just did this really happen? I just heard this from you with this woman behind you.
Ginni Thomas. This is old
Yeah.
but kind of new information. There's a lot of people calling for her to be investigated right now, and so, what I do is, what I do. We hold our friends on the right accountable, right? And this is something we need to hold them accountable on. Ginni Thomas has been compromised. She's a part of the problem, and we need to have an investigation in her conduct on or around the events of January 6th. Do you think it's possible for Clarence Thomas to not know what his wife was doing, Dionysius?
Not a chance. She was probably instrumental in getting him in touch with Donald Trump and his people and getting
Mm.
him placed on. So I think this is going to be that cherry on top I was talking about, those treason charges I keep mentioning to everybody.
Hmm.
This is what this is going to culminate into. So this is going to be the connection that's going to bring those congressmen and women that you guys mentioned earlier. This is probably going to bring also the foreign connection that is needed for
Mm.
treason charges.
Mm.
Because the only thing they're missing on everything here is a foreign connection. They already have it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's obvious, China and Russia. He was glad Russia made such a big deal because it kept all the smoke and the flames off his China business interests. He's got dozens over there.
You're talking about Donald Trump?
What's that?
You're talking about Donald Trump has ties to China?
Yeah, Donald Trump. Yeah,
I
he's
knew it.
got
I knew it.
yeah,
I
he's
knew
got a
it.
whole bunch over there, and that's why he was so happy about everybody focusing on Russia collusion, because
Mm.
Russia. So Vladimir Putin's denied him access to Russia, building Trump Towers for decades, and he's
Right.
always been trying to get to build one in Moscow since like the '80s, man. So we built
Right.
him in all the other like Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan for the KGB, basically the Russian mafia back in the day
Mm.
is what it was, and then they turned into the KGB, but.
Mm.
So like yeah, this is gonna open up a whole can of worms. It's probably gonna come back to Jared. I mean,
The Saudi
Roger.
Arabia money, right? He got money from
Yeah,
Saudi. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Roger
Yeah.
Stone's been flipped since like 2019, man.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But
You
yeah, I
heard
just want
Roger.
to. It's I think the people that are left over clinging to him, they're gonna have to experience the being screwed over by the Republicans,
Yeah.
or the ones who are saying all this division and all this civil conflict stuff. They're gonna have to experience like some alone time in a cell that I think will do them a lot of good, because it did me a lot of good. I can tell
Yeah.
you that much.
Yeah, I've always said jail does a lot of things to help people find God, right? I'm not opposed to that, and I think jail would help Donald Trump find God. Right now, he doesn't have God in his heart.
No, at least Fulton County has all that money he raised for his T-shirts to build him a nice new unit to himself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, from selling those mugshot T-shirts. Yeah.
Yeah,
All proceeds go to building Donald Trump his new
yeah,
prison cell
yeah.
in Fulton
It's
County. Yeah.
copyright infringement. I wonder if they'll pursue that. It's a
Yeah.
violation of state law and federal.
Well, yeah. I'm pretty sure they got their eyes on it. Yeah, keep racking up all that money, Donald Trump. Finally got her eyes and ears on it. All right.
Yeah,
Well, listen, Doc.
yeah. It's gonna be pretty interesting. But thanks for having me on, brother. Have a good day,
You're
man.
welcome. All right. You too, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up to my good friend Dionysius. No lies detected. Listen, I know a lot of you think I'm being mean to Donald Trump and his supporters, but listen, the gloves are off, right? And we all know what happens when the gloves are off.
Everyone knows he's. And I wouldn't have said this 3 weeks ago.
I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't have said it. I was actually very kind to him.
I
I was
was.
very kind to him, but now we can't be kind anymore because the gloves are off.
Right?
The jar has been
Jar
opened.
is open. The jar is open, ladies and gentlemen, and this is because Donald Trump did. We've all watched what he has done to this beautiful country. I've never seen, one man's lies, his repeated lies, has led this country to an interesting place, I would say. Now, folks don't know what to believe. I get it. Trump supporters, they're disappointed in government and they think it's the government against them. But I hope what they're learning through all of this, it's not all government. There's some bad actors out there. Hello, Yang. How are you? Ellie Yang. Hello. It's not all government that's bad. It's some bad actors in government that is causing this. So, like, let's take for instance Clarence Thomas. I think anybody can agree that this guy, he's getting money from a billionaire. His wife is working directly with members in Congress to try to overturn an election. He's definitely, I would say, compromised. I don't think he's really doing his job, the job that he's supposed to do, which is supposed to be helping the American people. I cannot see how Clarence Thomas could have my best interests at heart. I really can't see it when he's got all of these things clouding his judgment. I just can't see it. That's why I say, perhaps when he went in, he was a lot, more pure when he went in. But somewhere along the way, right? Somewhere along the way, he got compromised. He took one too many deals. He sold his mom's house to this guy. That's what, you bought my mom's house? That means you're really close. When I sell my mama's house to you, that means you're really close. That means if it really came down to it, the American people or the guy that bought my mom's house, I'm probably going to have to go with the guy that bought my mom's house. I'm probably going to have to go with the guy that's been, paying for everything I got. All right. I'm probably going to go with him. All right. If it comes down to my wife or the American people, I'm probably going to go along with my wife. Yeah, I know she tried to overturn the election, but do you really expect me to issue a ruling that would divide my house? It's impossible. He can't do it. And I wouldn't ask a man to split his house like that, but I would ask the man to resign. I really would. You're in too deep. You've made enough money in this position. Leave it to somebody else. All right. You've corrupted it. And that's what this is about, ladies and gentlemen. Clarence Thomas, you've corrupted the position. At least that's my opinion. Because you have too many conflicts of interest and the American people deserve better, right? Bring up the next guest, ladies and gentlemen. All right, for my greetings, how are you doing? Who do we have here? Former people, greetings. How are you? This is our first time doing business. For the people, are you there? Going once?
Oh, no requests. That was a mistake.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, don't worry. I got you, champ. Don't worry. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you a nice little escort. Let's bring up our next panelist. Greetings, Chris. How are you doing, Chris? Welcome to the Closet of Truth. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
All
So
right,
I
I'm
just
all right.
wanted to add a couple things. So,
Well, this is our first time doing business, right?
yep.
All
So
right, you know how
he
this
would,
goes. You know how this goes, right? I got to ask you
yeah.
some questions.
Well, I'm on your side, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, I still
So
got
I
to
just
ask you.
wanted to. Oh,
But
go
there's
ahead.
people here that don't know you, Chris. All right, we got to ask you. This is how we do this. All right.
Okay.
So let's get these questions out of the way so folks know where you stand on issues that are very important. First question, in your opinion, did President Biden steal the 2020 election?
No.
All right, all right. You're good. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He said he was. I'm just testing. Next question, in your opinion, who would you say is responsible for the attack on the Capitol on January 6, 2021?
Donald Trump, we all heard it.
Hey! Real
It
honest
was right
man right
on
here.
TV.
This is a real honest man right here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm listening. All right, last and final question. In your opinion, is Hillary Clinton or President Biden guilty of any crimes? Chris, are you there? Chris, are you still thinking about it, Chris? Chris, are you there? Are you there, Chris?
There we go. There we go.
Okay, I thought listen, you got me worried. I'm going to ask it again. In your opinion, is Hillary Clinton or President Biden guilty of any crimes?
Nope. Never have been. That's why they haven't busted him for any.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round
Republicans want the minority to rule the majority.
I've heard that. Can you explain that a little more, though?
Well, they constantly are, gerrymandering, their voter suppression. So pretty much they don't want the people. I mean, shit, Republicans
Keep it
haven't won.
clean. We keep it clean over here, my good friend Chris.
Sorry about that.
Don't
But
please.
Republicans haven't won the popular vote in 3 decades.
Why do you think that is?
Because they're horrible people. All the way back from Ronald Reagan, they sucked. Ronald Reagan was the worst thing that happened to this country.
A lot of Republicans, they say, I'm a real Republican, one of those Ronald Reagan Republicans.
Yeah,
what do you think about that? What do you think about that?
He's horrible. He brought the trickle-down theory. That's why we have billionaires that are in 1%, and we're all poor. He got rid of the fairness doctrine. That's why we have Fox News.
Oh.
He did lots of things that wasn't right.
Well, why do they praise him so much?
A lot of people liked him back then, though,
Because he was an actor, perhaps? It seems like the Republican Party, they have an affinity towards actors, right? They don't really care about policies. It's about, we want the fame. We want somebody that's famous and makes us look good, right?
Yep.
Wow.
And like Reagan did do some good things too. I mean, like tear down that wall. I remember that when I was a kid.
I remember seeing videos of that. Yeah.
Oh, he also came out and told us that Social Security is not on the budget. That's a total separate entity.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But they don't listen to that part.
So they've been the minority, and yet and still they are trying to win. And so, what do you think about their current strategy in terms of trying to win over voters?
I think they're trying to throw whatever they can at the wall and make it stick. That's what I think. Right now, they're nervous as heck because if Trump does go to jail or can't run because they're going to take him off the ballot, they're still going to sign him in. So whoever wins the primary is going to be screwed. So.
Yeah. Do you think Donald Trump should go to jail?
Absolutely. Anybody that read the indictments can see that.
Yeah. You don't think it's a witch hunt or anything like that?
No. We watched it happen.
Yeah.
We watched it all happen. The guy can't keep his mouth shut. He literally tells on himself constantly.
He does. He really does.
Can't even imagine being his lawyer.
Yeah. He makes his lawyers, they always have to worry about becoming co-conspirators, right?
Yep. Oh, that was one of the things I wanted to say because you were talking about maybe her getting indicted.
Yeah.
Don't forget that Cheeseborough wants to open up the 30 sealed indictments that we don't even know about.
Yeah. Because they don't know. She could be. I think she could be in there, and I think there's going to be members of Congress, who get revealed, right? But what's very alarming about what her involvement is the fact that, number one, it's tied to her husband, who's a Supreme Court justice. On the Supreme Court. And then the other part is she also has connections with people in Congress. And she also had connections with Donald Trump, his executive branch of government. So it just seems to me that this situation with her warrants a serious investigation. To not investigate
so
I think would be
I was just going to say an opinion I have. It's not, anything, but out of them 30 indictments, if they are holding her indictment, they're waiting because these cases are probably going to go to the Supreme Court.
Oh my God. Please don't tell me that.
They're gonna appeal.
Wow.
Unfortunately.
Are you on that MAGA Wi-Fi, Chris?
Oh, hell no. Oh yeah, I do go on there. I do go on there and watch that stuff so I could laugh. I mean.
Oh, No, your
I have,
signal and your connection is going in and out. That's why I was asking. Are you on that MAGA?
oh, I'm actually driving.
Oh, okay, okay. That's why you're going in and out. Okay. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so we think this is all getting teed up so that Clarence Thomas could perhaps weigh in on all of this stuff that's going on surrounding January 6th. If that isn't
Yep.
a direct conflict of interest, I don't know what is.
Exactly. He'll have to recuse himself
Hmm.
because he's too involved.
Well. But see, I don't see. I think all of them are involved.
And it's could be. We could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
we'll see.
trust not a single one of them.
And I think that's the sentiment. This is why I think you got the Trump base. They don't trust government, right? This is part of why I don't think they don't trust government is because of this kind of stuff. But the problem is, the issue is they're not holding their own accountable. And this is a
Yep.
great example of why the folks on the right need to hold their own accountable. This is to me unprecedented. It's unbelievable.
Like I tell all the Trump supporters, if you want to know the truth, just listen to Trump because he projects everything he's doing, but he blames it on the Democrats.
Facts. You're absolutely correct. All right, my good friend Chris. Well,
All right,
I'm going
man.
to have to listen up. It was great checking in with you, and I hope to hear from you again. All right, my good friend.
Have a good day. Yep.
All right, you too, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up to our good friend, brother Chris. Yes, you're right. Every MAGA accusation is truly a MAGA confession, and I'm being very sincere about that. Let me go ahead and bring up our next panelist. All right. All right. Who do we got right here? Apple user. That's an interesting name. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm all right. It's our first time doing business, correct?
It is indeed,
All
and I
right.
appreciate you having me on.
All right. Well, you know how this goes. I got to ask you some questions of utmost importance. All right.
Please.
All right. In your opinion, who would you say is responsible for the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
I think first and foremost, Trump is accountable.
All right. All right.
I think a lot of people in his administration and in his circle bear responsibility as well because they stoked the flame that he put in place.
Good
How's
point.
that?
That's perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Apple user a round of applause. Next question. In your opinion, did President Biden steal the 2020 election?
No, I mean clearly this was a storyline that was basically propped up and invented even before election night by the likes of
Hmm.
Roger Stone.
Oh,
No, there's ample evidence
yeah.
of that. So, yeah, no, I think Biden won fair and square. It's a shame that
All right.
it
Well,
came
let's
to
go
this.
ahead. Good answer. Let's give him a round of applause. No lies detected. And our last and final question. All right. Because it comes at you like a curveball, but I got to ask. In your opinion, is Hillary Clinton or President Biden guilty of any crimes?
Not that I'm aware of.
All
Um,
right.
Not that I'm aware of. I will say this about
Good
our
answer.
current state of affairs, if I
All
may,
right.
and that is that just my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Without campaign finance reform, all right, whereby corporations and PACs and what have you aren't giving these individuals hundreds of millions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
not to run, right?
Right.
And where it doesn't cost hundreds of $1,000,000 to run. And I kind of question whether that's true too, right? Because where
Right.
does all the excess go? Like
Mm.
let's say you lose and you got 100 million and you only spent let's say 30 on
Yeah.
advertising and this that and the other. Where's that 70 million go? It doesn't go back to the donors,
Nope.
right? So
No.
campaign finance reform and term limits, I think
Mm.
are the two things that would make this a far more democratic system where our quote unquote representatives are actually
Right.
representing the best interests of US citizens as opposed to the best interests of
Mm.
whatever corporate interest is lining their pockets with money.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think a reform on those levels definitely is warranted, given the fact that what we're currently dealing with right now, it seems for the most part the American people are frustrated with it, right?
On both sides. On
Yeah.
both sides.
Yeah, I'll give people that, but I think the solution and how we address it is where we differ.
Well, I'm interested to hear what you feel some of the solutions would be.
In terms of, I mean, it depends on what we're addressing, right? I think when you think about the three branches of government, most people don't trust them at this point, right? So,
Right.
so you would probably need a solution for each branch, and each solution may have multiple. I would say things you need to do in order to regain trust.
Certainly. And where the Supreme Court is concerned, and these shenanigans that Clarence Thomas and I'm sure Alito and all of them have been
Right.
involved in to some extent, like that has to stop. Like there's got to be accountability for Supreme Court justices, and the fact that they're like tenured for life is
That's an
I don't
issue.
I don't
I
understand how
think
that
it.
happens.
I think sometimes these investigations they take way too long. I wish there was a. I wish there was a fact. It's kind of like sports. If you ask me what I think, I mean, when someone in sports and they and you get the foul, you blow the whistle right there, and it's time. We deal with it right there, right?
Right.
I think that's what sometimes we need to do with our folks, these public servants. Listen, it looks like you are out of bounds. We're going to go ahead and blow the whistle. It's time for you to, take a time out while we look at this. And listen, we can't spend 4 years investigating this crap. We
Four
really can't.
years, 4 years, and like literally millions of taxpayer dollars.
It shouldn't take like let's just take this January 6th thing. I personally think it's taken way too long to get to this point. But there's checks and balances and things like that, so I get it. But personally, if you ask me what could help build trust, we shouldn't even be having this conversation this far away from the original violation.
Right. No, I
It
agree. And it has to be swift and it has to be
yeah,
sure and it has to be equal across the board.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's just one thing that needs to be done. So, we could think of a million things to do to help regain trust. But yeah, that's the issue. I mean, but I'm not, and to be honest with you, I'm not on the other side of this where I don't think, I think we should try to destroy our current system. I don't think that either. I think that would be way worse.
No, I agree. But here's the thing, right? When it comes to some of these changes, some of the
Mm-hmm.
reforms that you're talking about, some of the ones that I mentioned, who
Yeah.
has the power? Who has the power to implement that, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing. It's sort of like those internal affairs investigations that we
Yeah.
get when one of us gets unalived, right?
Yeah.
It's the police who are policing the police. And by
Mm-hmm.
the same token, when we're dealing with situations like whether it's January 6th or some kind of wrongdoing on the part of the Supreme Court justices or whatever it is,
Yeah. Right.
we have we have the police essentially policing the police. And so
Mm.
they're not gonna vote for term limits. They're not gonna
Nope.
vote to reform campaign finance, and they're not going to vote to hold justices accountable because it's not in their interest. They're going to do what
No.
is in their interest, and that's the sad state of things,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. This is something we all have to recognize and be aware of. I mean, how do we go about getting term limits, right? How do
Unless we
how do we
vote,
how do we prevent another Supreme Court justice from being bought?
that's the $1 million question.
Because we're never in those spaces to know when he's about to get paid from the claim, from these billionaires. We wouldn't. How do we even prevent it? Should we? Should we?
That's
I don't know. I mean,
I
should
don't
we
know either.
monitor their bank accounts? Right. We should monitor their bank accounts. Tell us what bank accounts you got, and let us make sure there's not an extra dime going in there.
Well,
But
and that's the beauty of it. So there are a couple of creators on here that
mm-hmm,
basically follow the financial moves and investments of various politicians, senators,
Mm-hmm.
representatives, and such, right?
Right.
And they will show you how these people are making trades based on information, right, that they
Mm-hmm.
have a say in. Like, who's
Yeah.
going to get this big government contract? Oh, it's going to be Merck. Oh, well then, Senator Ron Paul just bought Merck at $40 a share, and
Right.
within the next few months, it's at $80, and he makes a boatload of money. Like,
Mm.
that kind of stuff can't happen.
Right.
It's not supposed to happen. It shouldn't
Right.
happen. You're not there to line. And many of these individuals who, are elected in their first term with a net worth of, let's say, I don't know, 200 grand in the bank, whatever. By the
Right.
time they're done with their first term, they're worth like 5 times that. So it's like we're
I mean, but do
living.
you blame them? Like, if you had the ability to end up in Congress, or be a member of Congress, be a senator, is it wrong for them to capitalize on their position?
Personally, I think it is. I don't think that's why people should get in government. And
Right.
I understand, right? I get it. Like, well, it's an opportunity. Everybody else is doing it. I'll do it too. But the point is that nobody should be doing it. Not
Mm.
anybody.
But
My opinion.
don't they need the funding or the money in order to continue to get those votes, right? I mean, is that part of it? I mean, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just throwing it out there because,
No, I
uh,
understand.
yeah.
I
I mean,
mean, to
because
the
they
extent
talk
that they're
about,
funding themselves, are they
yeah,
funding their own campaigns? But they're still getting money from companies and corporations and
yeah.
special interest groups and the public. So I think they're enriching themselves to a great degree in a way that is unseemly, that is, if not borderline unethical, then straight up unethical. Like
Yeah,
that's like insider trading, right?
yeah,
Like if and that's illegal,
yeah. I
right?
get that.
So
Yeah.
So why isn't it illegal because a politician does it when that politician knows that, okay, we know who's going to get that contract?
Mm.
Well, I think
Uh-oh.
my dogs are going to go
That,
crazy, so I'm gonna leave.
that.
But I appreciate you. I hope we can do this again.
All right, my
All
good
right.
friend Apple user. Have a great rest of your.
You too.
Look
Bye.
at her. Oh my gosh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh. Yeah, as you can see, the dogs wanted in on that as well. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Well, listen up. We've reached that point in the live where Zeus must depart, ladies and gentlemen, and tend to the other affairs in the kingdom. But this was a great episode of The Closet of Truth. I will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, doing the morning show, all right, and bringing down more truth, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you all enjoyed this content. All right. Like I said, if you want to support what I do, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to. You really don't. I don't want nobody, listen up. I don't want nobody giving Zeus their last anything. All right. If you don't do that, take care of yourselves. All right. But for those of you who subscribe, for those of you who've lately been ordering the merchandise, listen, you all deserve a round of applause. All right. And I encourage all of us, like I mentioned earlier today, to try to take more accountability for our conduct out here on social media. I do politics and entertainment. All right. I veer away from the personal attacks. I don't mind. Listen, I don't mind if people criticize me and they say, Zeus, you're a liar. It doesn't bother me. Listen, I'm doing quite well, actually. Going on about my daily life, and reading and keeping up with politics like each and every one of you. All right. Uh, I appreciate all of you, and I hopefully will see all of you tomorrow. All right. Take care. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Most handsome in the kingdom. And I really am the most handsome. All right. Others are handsome too. Let's go. Zeus. This is how I sound when I'm talking like Zeus. Hey. This is how I stare when I'm looking like Zeus. All right, you all have a great rest of your evening.
cool till I pull up like Zeus.
You're welcome.
Like Zeus. I make my own rules. I'm a god, call me Zeus. I'm higher than an eagle, like I ran on me too.
Took a long time to get here, and I'm feeling brand new.
If you leaving like a bum, get away from me. I got money on my mind. I can leave it up.
Attacking my brother.
You
Like the speeder. You a high risk.
It's all in the mix. I
Put a bounty on your head.
This is waiting for the fans.
Let's go.
Playing with the dead. Hey, little mama, let me play with your caboose. I know all ladies like me cause I'm sweet like a tooth. Playing hating on the guy who's such a douche.
I tried to be patient, but you had to like refuse.
I'm catching all these snakes like a wild goose.
Attacking. Yes, you are. But that's all right.
I'm so handsome. That's why they call me Zeus. This is how I move when I'm walking like Zeus. This is how I sound when I'm talking like Zeus. This is how I stare when I'm looking like Zeus.
When I'm moving like Zeus. Look at the ring. Let's go. Hey, thank you. You all behave. Sit there. All right. LB. Nice to see you. Oh, thank you. If you play around with love, then you're guaranteed to lose. Trust me, I know. Don't play around with love. Don't do it. Don't worry, I'll post the video on YouTube. Check the link in the bio. Yeah, grab your goose. Oh, Kevin, what is that? An orange? Oh my God. Check it out. That thing is ugly. Are you paid from TikTok to troll? Ladies, let me, yeah, I'm the one that they choose. You know I'm so handsome. That's why they call me Zeus.
This is how I move when I'm walking like Zeus. This is how I sound when I'm talking like Zeus. This is how I stare when I'm looking like Zeus. I like to act a fool when I'm looking like Zeus.
He's a loser. You're right, Angel.
You thinking that you're cool till I pull up like Zeus. I'm in the sky like you up like Zeus.
Hey.
I make my own rules. I'm a god, call me Zeus.
Donald Trump is indicted and they take one charge and they turn it into 36 charges.
That's right. You know how we do over here?
He's deranged. Deranged. Jackson. He's deranged.
Let's do it, ladies and gentlemen.
He's deranged. Jackson. 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 He's deranged. Donald Trump is indicted and they take one charge and they turn it into 36 charges.
That's right. That's right.
And he's a big Trump hater. Openly, he's a Trump hater. And his wife.
Have a great rest of your afternoon, your evening, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. I'll see you.